Hey everybody, Thomas and Krista with Throne Builders
Hey
here.
everybody, how y'all doing?
We're doing amazing.
How you doing in YouTube land?
Yay, YouTube land.
We love YouTube people.
Yeah, we do. You guys are awesome. You're a tremendous blessing and an unexpected part of our family for the last year that we never really considered we would have. So we're here in Boundary County, Idaho. We're in the Wyman Wildlife Preserve.
Beautiful.
It's 1,800 acres of absolutely gorgeous land that was logged a lot in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. And I believe it was in the late 70s, early 80s that Les Wyman's, the guy that actually purchased the property and wanted to turn it into a reserve. And so no more logging, nothing. I think they actually logged some areas, but for the most part, it's very beautiful. There's a beautiful lake behind us. Water levels are very low because there's not much rain this time of year.
And we're on a very special trail. And why is that, Tom?
That's right. Well, the very first time we ever, let me tell you, Krista, the very first time we ever did a prophetic word for you was actually on this trail a little bit back that way. And I think we did that in August of 2017.
And you might want to go back on our YouTube videos and check that out just to see, because it's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. Only because we're pretty cool, if you know what I mean.
Yep, and it's exactly been a year this Friday, right?
Well, it's been a year this Friday since we left Idaho to escape our 7-year wilderness and begin our journey toward Florida.
Yeah.
And if you've been keeping up with any of our videos, you know that we settled in Florida. We finally, the journey was just rough, and we didn't have the understanding we wanted. So we finally just settled and took a house. Big mistake looking back. It was very difficult.
We wanted to be normal, but apparently that's never going to happen.
Yeah. So he told us we're going to Florida. We're still going to Florida. We're going to be leaving here either this weekend or going into next week. We're trying very fervently to help our son get all of his filming done so that we can leave the region and move on to the next place. The lady that we came here to rescue, to get her taken care of. We finished the storage sale yesterday. Made enough money for her to take care of the debt on the storage facility, take care of some other things. All of her debt, all of her financial issues have stemmed out of her relationship that we're helping her get away from. And you know, we love the guy that she's married to, but it's time for her to break away, and we're hoping that this will be a wonderful opportunity down the road for there to be reconciliation for the couple. So this isn't a end of a marriage. We hope it's going to be up to him. He's going to have to make some choices like we all do. But just wanted to give you a quick update with that. On Wednesday, we'll be going back to the storage unit and all of the things that she's kept, because we've encouraged her to keep as much as possible, because she's already lost everything several times over. And now she's been able to build these things back up, and so we encourage her to keep a lot. And so on Wednesday, my wife and I will be going back and helping her repack everything so that it'll be very easy to take on the road. But we are waiting for God's direction.
That's right. We have to be out of the cabin that we're in on Friday morning at 11 a.m.
Friday the 7th.
And we don't know where we're going. We don't know where the money's coming from, but we just know that the God has told us to get ready. We've got our jobs done that He's given us to do. I finished the revision of my book. And that is a huge, huge miracle, because this book has been out for several years, but it's taken me, many months.
It's been out for not quite 2 years.
That's right.
You've been working on it for
the revision has taken me a long time, but I basically have rewritten the book, and I've made it into a workbook / course. So I can't wait to release that to you guys, because we do a lot of phone calls with people all over the world, and a lot of these people, I have to tell them about these exercises that God has given me that has really freed a lot of people. But now I can just say, hey, get the book, and it'll be a little bit easier for us. So,
ta-da! So it'll be a great blessing to you. Many of you read the first revision of the book, but I think this is really not so much a revision as it's almost been a rewrite.
And it's so different. And I've added a lot of things that God has taught me, and a lot of stories that we've went through. So
I thought I was going to revise my book, Stammering Lips, Release the Power of Tongues, that I released 2.5 years ago, and book about our journey into the gift of tongues, some insights that God has given me through the process, and trying to correct some false doctrine about the gift. And but I went back through and started trying to do it, and I was like, 2.5 years ago, I was so different that that book needs to be what it is now.
Sometimes you just need to leave things alone. My book was different because my book is part of the curriculum that we're working on for Throne Builders and for I Found Me. So it's not just a book, it's a curriculum. So I've really, on purpose, put a lot into that.
So that is not a real moose behind us, by the way. If it was, we would not be standing here calmly.
Right, yeah.
And it would also not be that small. But so they're massive. I don't know if you've ever seen one in the wild or up close. They can be up to 2,000 pounds. They're just remarkable, and they've found some that are more than that, but they get big.
Yep.
So
sorry, trying to.
So this Friday, September the 7th.
Some of you might be in a hurry or something, so I'm trying to prod Tom along here.
Like, if I told you the stories about how long it took us to get here, you'd be like, "What's she talking about?" Anyways,
they don't know.
That's true,
and they'll never know.
But you can private message me, and I'll tell you. Okay?
No, you won't.
I probably won't. But this Friday, September 7th. 2018 is exactly 1 year, exactly 365 days from the day that we left last year. We left on September 8th, 2018. It was a Friday. Now we're leaving on a Friday, or at least we have to be out of this cabin by this Friday.
Yeah.
And it's a very unusual time that we're in. We've had our friend Anthony Ferreri with us, who we've told you've met him on all the lives we've been doing, or several of the lives we've done. And he's just been a tremendous help to us. And now God is kind of leading him to go in his own direction.
Yep.
And God has been using him to primarily using him to sustain us through some finances that he had set aside. But that's over now. And might be able to help us for another day or two, but he's going on a new path. And we are so excited for him. We're really excited what God is going to open up for him through that.
Yeah.
But in this process, here we are. We have basically 4 days, and then we don't know where to go. We lost our home. We told you about that. We've been on the road now. Our stuff is in storage.
Right.
And all that God has really given us is rest and trust me. And if you've ever gotten that from God, when you're in the crucible, so to speak, you're like, what?
Yeah.
How do you rest when you're
Not
freaking
the
out all the time?
Want, that's for sure.
I want the answer of the check will be in the mail today, But that's okay. God knows what he's doing in us and for us. And so we wanted to speak to you today and release a word to you for the month of September, because we believe this is a very special month that we're in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, he thought I was trying to get his attention, but actually
she just stepped on my foot like 8 times.
His foot was in my way, so
in
I was
your
trying
way?
to give him a little hint.
Okay.
He didn't get my hint.
It's good. Here. Okay, go ahead.
This is what happens.
Just go ahead, sweetheart.
When you've been married for 21 years. You get weird.
20 and a half. Isn't that sad? My wife doesn't know when we got married.
No, I say 21 on purpose because we dated.
It feels like 70.
We dated and we're engaged for a year, so I count that because that's marriage too.
Okay, prophecy. So last night I woke up, and in fact, both of us woke up about the same time, about 3 o'clock in the morning. And we were awake, man. We're like, hey,
I started cleaning.
Yeah, she starts cleaning. I'm like, I'm gonna go for a walk and pray a little bit. So I go outside. I'm walking around and looking at the sky and just talking to God, and we really need to know what's going on here. But a word was given to me, a phrase, and I wanted to encourage you with that. And then I know Krista has something she wants to share.
Yeah.
But this is the phrase: September, sink or swim. And many of you have been waiting for years. I just talked to a lady on the phone the other day, and she's been decades of waiting for these promises.
Yeah.
And where are they? And why isn't this happening for us? And how do we get to the place where we can live the life we're supposed to be living? And she said, I know in the past God has spoken to me and said things to me, but I let people in the religious establishment and what's called the church talk me out of it, to tell me that it was the wrong thing. I needed to do this instead. And like we've done, and like you've probably done, she took the wrong counsel, the false counsel that came out of religious mindsets, instead of listening to the voice of the Father. Jesus said that the wind comes and goes. You can tell that it's there, but you don't know where it came from or where it's going. And so is everyone that is led by the Spirit.
Yes.
This is a time. August was a remarkable month of transition. Yes. Everybody was saying it, and it was so apparent.
And we were driving and
we were transitioning. We're like, okay, let's lose everything and put it. Let's lose our house and put have to sell or get rid of stuff and put stuff in storage and transition to what we're not sure yet. But it's so clearly a time of transition for us. But God says that in this month, where you are right now, you're either going to sink or swim. Yeah. And that is going to be determined by your responses, not only to the situations ahead of you, but also your responses to your own heart in the season that you're entering into now.
Yes.
There are steps and actions that you were led to take in the past that you failed to take.
Yeah.
And God isn't punishing you. God didn't punish you because things didn't work out. But remember that when he told you to take the steps, it was because he wanted you to be at a certain place at a certain time to make the right connections.
Right.
If you've ever been in a city area where you have to use the bus system, the transit system that they have there, they have a basic schedule that you have to be there for the bus when it comes through.
Yeah.
And if you're not at the bus stop on time, it doesn't mean that you can't get to where you're going. It just means there's going to be a delay because you missed that bus, and now you have to wait for the scheduled time for the next one.
Right.
Many of us have waited decades and been suffering under these just, where are the promises and why has it been like this?
Yeah.
Missed opportunities are being represented to you. Maybe not the same people that were available for the first opportunity, but the opportunities are coming your way. And you're either going to sink or swim. You're either going to jump out of the boat and go for it and swim and get where you're going, or you're going to keep going down in the same boat that you've been watching go down for years.
And there's a third category. Some of you are going to walk on water.
What?
And that's the supernatural right there.
But I was told sink or swim, not sink or swim.
I'm going to walk on the water.
Okay, so you get the idea. The whole concept of swimming.
And you don't have to worry about your makeup coming off.
The whole concept of swimming, unbelievable. Let's be unified on these words. Oh, Lord, please help us. And then she ruins the whole thing.
They understand. These women that wear makeup, you understand.
The makeup, So, my people are being called to arise into a new destiny. You've been watching it go down for too long.
Right.
And you're discouraged. Yes, you're frustrated. Sure. Duh. We are too. We get it. This precious lady that we're rescuing, she's 50, in her mid 50s. And here she is. She's like, man, my whole life, I can't believe I'm in this spot. Right. It doesn't matter what spot you're in.
Right.
God is telling you right now that it's time to sink or swim. You're either going to keep going down with the ship that you may not have even supposed to have been on at this point, or you can step out, you can walk on the water, you can swim, you can get to where you need to get to. It's time to arise to your purpose and destiny. It's time to take a stand for yourself. Yep. This is the month where the favor of God is just going to be put on display for you.
Right.
This Friday we have to be out of where we are, but between now and then we need $200 per night just to have a place to stay. We didn't choose that.
That's right.
It is literally the only place available in this entire region for us to stay that we know of.
Right.
And on Friday, all the cabins that they have there are taken for the whole weekend. So Friday morning at 11 o'clock, we have to be on the road. We don't know where we're going. We don't understand. We believe heading back toward Florida, but we don't know where specifically because it still has not been revealed to us. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to live free or die trying.
That's right.
Patrick Henry is ascribed with saying, give me liberty or give me death. Now, he actually said something different, but it was encapsulated in that. It's the same basic meaning. I tried to find it and our phones wouldn't let us connect the right way to the web. But, give me liberty or give me death. Die free. Or live free or die trying. I'm either going to sit and rot in the wilderness, the prison that I either voluntarily walked into or was deceived into walking into or was placed in by somebody else, or I'm going to stand up and I'm going to break down the walls and I'm going to walk out a free man and I'm going to take my family with me and I'm not going to live in poverty and lack anymore.
And fear,
and
remember.
Seasons of these things may be necessary to get us to the place where we can move forward. But I'm telling you right now, God is saying to you today to cast aside the fear, cast aside the torment that you're walking in. Let that anguish that you have been experiencing in your heart, let it fade away. Come before him boldly. Say, listen, you love me. I love you. You've given me promises. I'm stepping out. I'm listening. You tell me what to do. Take time for meditation in the season that you are in. It's time for you to rest.
Right.
And I think that Krista actually has a word along those lines that she wants to share with you.
It's interesting because this fits right into what he was saying. And it's interesting that we don't plan these, but we planned for me to go last. But I did not know what Tom was going to say. So I'm really excited about this, how it fits in so beautifully. God showed me this morning, since it's Labor Day, and I actually wrote a post on Facebook. So if any of you follow me on Facebook, check it out and read it. It's on my timeline. But it's all about laboring to enter into his rest on this Labor Day holiday. And this is what God spoke to me this morning. And, so many of us have been in this striving mode for years. I know I have been. Religion teaches us to strive with works. We got to do something to please God. We got to do something or he's going to be disappointed in us. We've got to be doing these works, and always trying to figure out logically how to do things, and God, honestly, he loves it when we try to figure things out. Don't get me wrong. He loves he's given us brilliant minds, but there comes a point in our life where he wants us just to rest. And Tom and I have had to kind of be in that situation for a long time now where we're just like, resting at this point has to be enough. And that comes with trusting the Father's heart, knowing that he's leading you into good things and he's not going to let you down. He's got your back. So resting to enter into his labor, it's interesting how the Bible words that. we have to labor to enter into his rest. And it is one of the hardest things to do, because that means we have to stop all the striving, doing all the works, trying to figure it out on our own. Here comes the sun. Wow, that's bright. And you want to grab my sunglasses while I'm talking?
Sure.
Would that be okay?
I'll be right back.
I didn't plan this sun. Well, it's kind of fading now. All right. I'm not sure if I'll need them. Okay, honey. I think they got the picture here. I'll try not to put them on.
Haunted glasses.
I like to look people in the eye, so I'll try not to put them on unless I have to. Laboring to enter into his rest. I got distracted there for a second.
Yep.
And it's interesting because I was thinking along the lines of something that Tom said earlier, and when I didn't know what he was going to be saying. So many of you have a life message. You have a calling on your life, but some of you, I would say a lot of you, don't know what that is. I think you've had dreams, you've had little snippets of things come to you over the years, but it's never really dawned on you, what is your purpose? Where do you belong? Are you supposed to fit into a team or a tribe or a group? What are you supposed to be doing things online to financially support yourself? And that's going to come through your giftings and your callings and your personality. And God really wanted me to tell everybody on YouTube today, and anybody who watches this video, that you really need to get alone with the Father, like Tom was just saying about that meditation time that's important in this season as we're in September now. And he really wants you to ask him what your life message is. What is your purpose? Because those are the things that are going to make you happy anyways, because you're going to finally be able to express yourself in the world. And through those venues, you're going to be able to make money, impact people's lives, feed and clothe nations. You're going to be able to teach people to believe in themselves. You're going to be able to help people to get out of these prisons they've been in for years. See, a lot of you have all this stuff you want to do, but you really don't know where you fit in. And so that's what you need to find out. It's interesting. About a week ago, I had a dream about somebody who's very famous, and I won't go into it right now. But in the dream, and I wasn't planning on telling this, but in the dream, I was sitting next to this famous person, and we were in some kind of a service. And when the service was over, I asked this famous person, I said, hey, can I come with you to your place where you hang out? And can I hang out with you? And they hemmed and hawed for just a second, thinking about it. But they were pretty much like, yeah, sure, you can come. And I remember when I got to the place where this person was, I remember thinking, wow, nobody else gets to do this. Nobody else gets to be around this person and hang out with this famous person. And then the Lord spoke to me through that dream, and he showed me that the symbolism of it was that many people do not have those type of opportunities because they just simply don't ask. And in the dream, I asked. And I said, hey, can I come? Can I hang out with you? Can I experience these really cool things that most people don't get to experience? And it's because I asked that I got to have it. So I want you guys right now to ask the Father, get alone and ask him, what is my purpose? What would make me happy while I'm using my gifts and callings and personalities? What was it that I was meant to do on this earth? And I tell you what, when you start getting those puzzle pieces, write them down, journal them. Because that's going to turn into businesses for some of you. That's going to turn into community groups. That's going to turn into all kinds of things. I could list off a list right now, but I won't do that. But you get the drift of what I'm saying here. So right now, what you need to do more than anything is labor and to enter into God's rest, where you meditate with him and you talk with him. You let him talk to you. Something that has been forgotten in our world is the art of silence. If you will go and get alone, and like the other day, I went out in nature, the most beautiful nature, and I was out there for 4 hours and didn't say a word. I just listened. And I think some of you need to do that.
And by rest, a lot of people are like, what does rest mean? When you're thinking about your life, is it fretting and worrying, or is it just contentedness?
Makes
Peace
a difference.
is going to work out.
Makes a difference.
That's rest. When you can just, Peter, I think, talks about peace that passes all understanding. And honestly, we've been experiencing some of that.
Yes, we have.
Which is really weird because
it's dark.
We need a lot of money just to survive right now, and it's like, how do you rest when you don't see where it's going to come from or how the door is going to open? How do you do that? But it's flowing for us because we've made a concentrated effort over long spans of time to learn how to put down that old way of thinking. That's what Paul's talking about by putting away the old man. The old man died at Calvary. You don't have an old man or a sin nature to contend with. You don't have the flesh fighting against you. You don't. Trust me. It doesn't exist anymore.
Amen.
What you need is you need your mind renewed to the truth. You need to be brought up to the reality.
You need to know who you are.
Of who you always have been.
That's right. Your identity
and
is
from
vital.
who you were and are from the foundation of the world, not just who you were since you got saved or whatever, like who you genuinely are before the Father and always have been.
So true.
But in this process of learning to put this old way of thinking or this old man down, it's progressively built a flow for us that I'm certainly not walking in perfectly. No one in our family is, but we're still walking in it somehow. And through that, getting the clarity to know that though we don't understand what the heck is going on, somehow the Father has it worked out for us.
And,
so,
and keep in mind, too, that maybe I don't even need to say this. It's probably obvious. But when Tom was talking earlier about needing the $200 a day just to stay in this cabin, which is cheaper than a hotel, and it's the only place that would take our cats, that doesn't include food, gas for 5 people or 6 people, and then all the other bills that we have. So he was just giving you a small,
just the housing
little
aspect
tiny
of
thing.
it.
So you could see how this has been a big thing for us.
So we're kind of like, oh, when we left here last year, God supernaturally raised up people in the most profound ways to fund us,
and He's doing it again.
And just feel like I need to say this again. God has promised our family a farmland.
Yes.
Last year we were mocked by some people. Well, you think you're going to go somewhere and somebody's going to give you something? Well, that's what we were told. Yeah, I just guess I'm expecting
whatever
what he
God
said.
says, what you go with.
But it's not some place that we're just going to go take it easy. This is supposed to be the place where we begin our first training center.
That's right.
We believe, starting in the food industry, because that's a very big thing on our heart. They have corrupted our food sources across the board, especially in America.
Yes.
And it needs to be rectified. We need to put an end to the inhumane treatment of all animals. It needs to stop completely.
Yes.
We need to stop spraying all these chemicals on our food. They need to stop GMOing everything.
And the chemtrails. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, that's not even
that's
food related.
That's a whole other story.
But that's only going to happen when the righteous start flooding the market with the products that people want. They can get at a comparable price. And what's going to happen is as the righteous do this, this unrighteous system is going to fade away. And it's so important. So God's told us we have a farmhouse, and maybe somebody's like, I got a farmhouse and I need help with it or something. We've been told that we're actually going to be able to somehow rescue some people that are in need. And go away, little bug. But
part of being in nature. You have to be nice to the bugs.
Lots of bugs out here. But we're looking for that place, and so right now, it's not even so much that we're concerned about finances as we're concerned about where are we supposed to be and what are we supposed to be doing.
Right.
And so we're really asking God for that. It's been told through multiple sources now that we're transitioning, that the old season, this season of transition is just about to come to an end.
Yeah.
And then there'll be a breaking forth of some kind. We've experienced that several times in the past. The run of that breakthrough has been relatively short each time, but this last time it's much longer. And we really have a sense that this time is going to finally put us where we need to be so we can begin to do those great works that God's called us to.
We've been gone for, what, 2.5 weeks? Since we left
2.5 weeks.
Since we left the Panhandle.
It'll be 3 weeks this Wednesday.
Okay, so we left the Panhandle of Florida, and a couple months or maybe a month or two before we left Florida, the Lord was speaking to Tom and I separately, and we didn't realize it. A lot of times God will speak to us individually, and then we'll come together. It's like, oh, we got the same message. And the message was that it's almost time for that farmhouse that I told you about 4 years ago. And it's so real to us, and we know more details about it than we're saying, and we're not going to say anymore because that's going to be the confirmations for us that we know that we're in the right spot. But, God has spoken to a lot of you out there about some peculiar things, showing you some peculiar visions, and you're kind of like, okay, what was that all about? Really seek Him about those things and ask Him, because if He shows you things, there's a reason why He's showing you those things. Yes, there's a timing for it, of course, but don't discount it. Don't just think, oh, well, that was just a random thought. Not necessarily, And one more thing, too, that just came to me, and when I was sitting in the car before we came out here, I heard a weird kind of phrase, and God said, I've laid all the cards out in front of you. Now look at what you have. Like, some of us have not been looking at what He's been actually trying to say to us. He's already laid out the plan. He's already laid out the strategy and the cards. Now He wants us to look down. Stop looking at all the distractions around us, but look down and see what He's placed before us.
Yeah. Amen. So, all right. So thank you for all of your love and support and prayers. Thank you for the finances that some of you have been blessing us with. Please share this monthly word with everybody.
Yes.
It is a time to sink or swim. You're either going to sink or you're going to swim.
Right.
You choose.
I'm going to walk on the water.
And rest does not mean you sit in your prison and rot and die.
That's right.
Rest means you rise up with confidence, knowing that everything's going to work out. Even though there may be issues and struggles, it's still going to work out. So God bless you so much. Hope you've been blessed by this. Looking forward to your comments below. Have a great week.
Love you.
Great month. God bless.